Thank you. Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation following. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials. Grant them the wisdom to know and the courage to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen. Roll call, please.
Goodar, Green, LaFour,
Here.
Mistrovich,
Here.
Ricks,
Here.
Schultz,
Here.
Yarrick.
Here.
Motion to approval of the City Council meeting of January 5th would be in order.
So moved.
Support. Motion been made and supported. Any discussion on the minutes? Being not, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion passes. Audience comments on any non-agenda items? We have a very small audience tonight.
Very small council table.
Yes.
Young audience, right?
We will move on. Adoption of agenda. Mr. City Manager, any changes?
I have no changes other than just to let everyone know that there is a new motion for item 2 that I placed on the table tonight.
Very good. Thank you. Is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Support. Motion been made and supported. Any discussion? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion passes. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. There's no discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion does pass. We have 3 items for consideration this evening. The first one being consideration of special event request, Richmond Bees Vintage Baseball Club. Mr. City Manager.
Council is scheduled to consider approving a special event request from the Richmond Bees Vintage Baseball Club to utilize the festival grounds in Beebe Street Park for their home games during the summer of 2015. This is kind of a group of historical reenactors that do vintage baseball games and travel around southeastern Michigan playing baseball from the 1860s rules. They did have their inaugural season last year, I believe, and played a few games over there. They have roughly 9 games, I believe, this year that they would like permission to use the festival grounds. We did take this to our recreation board who approved this with 2 conditions. The park rules do not allow for organized athletics over there. However, the Richmond Bees are considered historic reenactors. They don't hold routine practices, which is what really damages the grounds there. Also, the other condition was that there may be some improvements being made to the festival grounds this year by the festival committee, some drainage and grading work due to some of the things that happened last festival. And so although they'd be allowed to play on the festival grounds, that the location of the field may change given the circumstances. I did talk to Councilor Green, who submitted the request on behalf of the Richmond Bees, and she did not have any problems with either of those conditions and completely agreed with them.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the Richmond Bees request to use a portion of the festival grounds in Beebe Street Park on certain Saturdays and Sundays in May, June, and July, subject to the following conditions: that the Richmond Bees are deemed to be historical reenactors, not an organized athletic league, that the location of the games on the festival grounds may change due to ongoing work being done by the festival committee.
Support. Motion been made and supported.
Just one change, that's May, June, and August. There's no home games in July.
Okay. Did you say July?
I may have, but
Oh, okay.
if I did, then
My hearing may be
it'd be
bad too.
August.
Yeah.
Kind of rolled on. It just,
Well, just in case they have a rain game.
I mean, for 44 years, I always knew that that's the order of the months. I just assumed.
Okay. Any discussion? As John said, good old days had no problem with this whatsoever. They played often there last year, and even the year before while we were setting up. They played out there during the weekend before the festival. But the only thing that I did ask or want them to know is that the festival more than likely is definitely going to be doing some drainage issues, drainage work out there, and where they have been playing is exactly where the water all runs to. So we may have to move them if we, depending on what time of year we get in there and when we can get in there, because we could never get in there in the fall. That's what we wanted to do, and it was still wet. It is still wet today. It's one of the reasons we're not having the snowmobile drag races. The ground is still horrible. So that would be the only thing, and seemed like everybody was happy with that. So it's nice to have the club here in town too. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion passes. Item number 2 is consideration of Richmond Township Code Enforcement Agreement. Mr. City Manager.
Council is scheduled to consider approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Richmond and Richmond Township to have the City of Richmond Police Department assist the Township Code Enforcement Officer while they are doing their work out in the field. As we've discussed previously at council roundtable meetings, the Township Supervisor Cindy Greenia and one of their trustees, Vern Coleman, met with Chief Teskey and I to discuss the possibility of having one of our officers go with their code enforcement officer. Their officer will still be doing all of the code enforcement work. Our officer will be there to provide kind of an escort and a witness if need be. But all of the code enforcement work will still be handled through the township. We will just be assisting that person in the field. Chief Teskey actually had experience with this while he was still with the Sheriff's Department, but it just makes logical sense that they would work with us and we would try to come to some sort of agreement between the township and the city for this assistance. I did have Rex Burgess and Zach from his office prepare an agreement, an intergovernmental agreement that I sent out earlier to you and then was in the council packet. One thing that I missed when I prepared the council packet is that agreement has to be adopted by resolution. So I did email out council a resolution, and that's the new motion that's in front of you tonight. If there's any questions on kind of how this will operate, Chief Teskey is here. If you have any questions about that or the agreement, I can answer.
Very good. Is there a motion before discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2015-1, a resolution approving the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Richmond and Richmond Township to have the City of Richmond Police Department assist the Township Code Enforcement Officer.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Discussion? One of the things I had mentioned to John in talking to him, I'd like to have the possibility of have magnetic signs put on the car that is going to be used that says Richmond Township Code Enforcement Officer. So it's very clear that, that's what that car is doing outside of the city limits. Because somebody's going to see that and they're going to wonder, what is the City of Richmond doing outside of the city limits? Quite often you hear that, hey, you had a car outside the city, what were they doing out there? Well, I think this would help in identifying the car. And it's going to be parked evidently at, I would assume, at certain properties throughout the township. And it's Richmond Township, so it could be clear to the other side of, the Armada area, the western part of the township. It's quite a ways away, 36 square miles. So I would like to see that as something that the administration does by direction of council to make sure we identify what that car is for. How does council feel about that?
Yeah, it makes perfectly good sense to me. They're not that expensive.
No.
We purchased 4 from Nate April before for the parade when we do the council Memorial Day parade. So I'm sure we can work something out that looks complements the graphics on the police car and can be removed. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. You guys good?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion on the motion?
Yeah, I just have a question too about the, you talked about it might be, the far western would be far away, about the fuel costs for the vehicle. I know we have an administrative cost of $1,000, I think was agreed to. Would that be covered under?
yes,
that?
we
Never
also
talked-
talked about the mileage. There is in the agreement some
Okay.
mileage reimbursement as well.
Okay, great.
And then with this being a year-long agreement, that'll allow us some time to kind of monitor those costs. But we did put the federal reimbursement rate for mileage
great.
on top of the hourly cost plus FICA costs.
Thank you.
Anything, chief? Okay.
It's a good marriage as far as us assisting them, and it worked before when I was with the other agency, so I think this will be a good project, if you will, to see how, how that all going to work out and how we can interact with our neighbors to the north.
Good. You had talked something about maybe putting some kind of
Like a press release
Press
or a
release.
joint statement out between the township and us, because one of the things that was important to us, and as well to the township, they were aware of and completely understood our concerns that even though our car is going to be out there, all of the code enforcement calls from the township have to be funneled through the township offices. We will not be taking complaint calls for the township. We will not be talking to the residents about, listening to their side of the issue. Those calls should still go through the township offices. We are hired by the township to assist their code enforcement officer, not to work with their residents.
Okay. All right. Do you know, I haven't seen one, but does the township do a newsletter?
I thought they did, but
It seems as though they used to.
I believe so.
Anything
And
that
they
could-
do have a website
Okay.
that's fairly up to date, so
Okay.
I think a number of ways we can get that out there.
Yeah.
But I want to make that clear. It's
Yes.
not that we're trying to be rude to their citizens. There's
No.
just a kind of a process that they need to use still in place with their own code enforcement officer.
Yep. Yep. And when you were with the sheriff, this worked out fine?
Yes, yeah, it worked out real fine, and there were some other things that resulted as a result of that, byproduct of that, so we did some of their extra activities and that things. Again, it was part of the contract with them, which is not addressed in this contract. We're doing baby steps here first.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Good. Anything else? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 3 is consideration of Michigan Department of Transportation 2015 annual permit for miscellaneous operations with the state trunk line right-of-way. That's gotta be the longest agenda item.
It's a long trunk line.
Yeah.
Now that you've said it once, I won't repeat it, but it's that time of year again. The MDOT annual permit does allow us to do work within the right-of-way, including such things as placing banners, underground utilities, and this is an annual permit that we fill out and the city clerk submits.
Very good. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the annual MDOT permit for miscellaneous operations within the state trunk line right-of-way.
Support.
It's been made and supported. Any discussion? Being not, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. City manager's comments, sir?
I'd just like to thank the police department for their patience this last week or so, as we replaced the boiler over there and had temporary heat to that side of the building. A lot of employees just kind of had to grin and bear it, and some of their teeth were chattering while they did that. But they did it, and I appreciate their willingness to do that with it being so cold out. Having said that, the police post City Hall project is moving along very well. Actually, we do have the new boiler installed, and it's heating our side of the building. They're still working on some of the connections on where the police will be moving to. And as soon as the heat gets back to the rest, they'll jump on like the drywall and painting and those sort of activities. But they look to be right on schedule so far. So it's been a good experience to this point, and we're working on some of those other technology improvements, phone systems, that sort of thing. And so everything as of now is progressing along schedule.
Good, very good. Okay, moving on, council comments. Michael?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Jeffrey?
Just, it occurred to me, I wanted to mention though, we were talking about the interlocal agreement with the township that we've been talking about for a while. I did want to mention, I appreciate staff's work on that, and it's definitely a sign of our better working relationship with Richmond Township as a number of the issues that we've had over the years, that we continue to build that. So it's really been a positive.
I just need to make a correction. Last week I'd mentioned that the wrestling districts are going to be during the ice festival. The state had moved all the state events for wrestling back 1 week this year. For whatever reason.
Yeah.
Not sure why, but, so it's not gonna fall on that weekend. That event will be on the 14th. Tim Fair had contacted me, and he followed up through the athletic department of the school and confirmed all the exact dates, so.
Okay.
So I just wanted to thank him again for following up and to get everything corrected. So.
Yeah, okay. Jim?
Just like to put out a condolence to the Toya family. Firefighter Sam Toya's father passed away here on Tuesday, I believe. Thursday. I don't know. And just condolences to the Toya family. That's it.
Okay. We had a great workshop meeting on the 12th. We've been interviewing for our assessor and our treasurer quite a bit. So a lot of things going on in the new year already, a lot of meetings already. Hopefully it slows down a little bit here and we can get some new people on staff and work them into the family here, so to speak, sooner than later, I think, so our people can retire. But we're trying very hard. We're working on it, so. There is a TIFA meeting on the 28th at 7 o'clock right here at City Hall. That is the only thing, I believe, that we have the rest of January. And then, of course, 2 weeks from tonight would be the next regular scheduled city council meeting, which happens to be Groundhog Day also. It's just flying by. As I mentioned earlier, and I'll take the opportunity now, the Winter and Ice Festival will be going on Friday, the 6th, 7th, and 8th of February, but the Richmond Good Old Days Festival will not be able to run the snowmobile drag races this year for a number of reasons, one of them being a safety issue and the weather issue. And hopefully it'll be better for us in 2016. The planning will continue to go on, but Mother Nature's been tough on that field out there since September when we had the horrible rain. So there will be no snowmobile drag races this year. Cable will meet on the 10th, and Planning Commission will meet on the 12th of February at 7 o'clock. And the winter recess for Richmond schools will be on February 13th through the 16th, which is President's Day. The kids will be back in school on the 17th, so be careful with our kids. Our skating pond, they sent us the wrong liner, so we're getting a new one in.
The new one should have been delivered today.
Okay.
When we unrolled it, we were about 15 to 20 feet short. And we had to go jump through a lot of hoops to document that before they would send out the new one. So,
Yeah.
a number of factors with some new staff and things, it got set up a little bit late, but we were still okay. And then when we unrolled that, to put it in, unfortunately, we missed a good window of weather
Yeah.
here for skating. So we do anticipate that it'll be up this week.
Yeah. So we're back in that mode again where the weather has gotten bad again. So
Yes.
all over the place. So, okay. Is there anything else that we need to talk about in other business? Being not, we need a motion to go into closed session for negotiations purposes.
I move to convene in a closed session in accordance with Section 8C of the Michigan Open Meetings Act, Public Act 267 of 1976, as amended for strategy negotiation sessions connected to the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement if either negotiating party requests a closed hearing.
Support?
Most been made and supported. Any discussion on the motion? Need not, roll call vote, please.
Green is absent. Lepore,
Yes?
Nastrovich.
Yes.
Ricks.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Yark,
Yes.
and Goodar is absent.
Motion passes.